Going wild. I feel like a mad scientist. And the title is Tech Hoarders Anonymous, and that is absolutely true. As I'm going through my whole studio, my office, and kind of cleaning it up. So, anyways, hey, welcome to stream. How's everyone doing? Thank you so much for being here. I did move the stream to Saturday today, mainly because I had a lot going on Friday. Friday morning, I started tearing some of this up so that I could, continue working on it today. So if you're wondering what the heck is going on in here, I'm kind of redoing. I don't want to say totally redoing, but making some big changes to my studio / my office in here. Hopefully it makes things a little bit easier. My setup so far has been pretty good. It's been pretty good. It's done me well for a couple of years, but I need, I don't know how to put it, but I just need easier access to the things that I need access to. For example, I have tons of lights, tons of cameras, microphones like everywhere, and it's kind of a pain in the butt the way that I've set it up over the past. And so I'm kind of moving things around. Also, I'm rebuilding. So this desktop that I'm using, I've been using it for a long time. I don't know, 6 years now, I think. I think this November will be 6 years. It's an 8700K. Still a fantastic processor. And I have a 3090, which kind of helps too. But I'm going to be changing a lot of that too. So I'm going to be building, a new Linux / Windows workstation in a Sliger case that's water cooled, and it's going in this server rack right here. And then, I built my Mac for my software development / probably video rendering. I'm not sure. I'm gonna test the waters. I've been editing all my videos on Windows for a long time, but I might switch to editing on my Mac too, outside of just building all my software and doing everything else. It is a mess in here. I wonder if I could show you some of this, because it is crazy. But anyways, so that's what I've been working on top of, macking my new Mac Studio inside of my rack. It's been pretty fun, pretty interesting to figure stuff out. For a long time, I've had that Mac Studio for over a month, even before I went to 45 drives. It actually came the week before I went to 45 drives, and I just knew in my head, like, whoa, I got to do 45 drive stuff. I have to go to Canada. Then I came back, and then I was like, I have to build my wife this radiator cover. And then I was like, I have to now actually put this thing together and then make a video about it. And then after that, I could use it. So that's the tough part about creating content around the things that I use. Because all the content that I create, it's usually what I'm doing. It's been that way for a long time. It's what are you doing? What is Tim doing last week, pretty much? Or what has Tim been doing for 2 weeks? It's kind of been my channel, and it's great. It's great because I get to document stuff I do and share, new or interesting things with people. But at the same time, it adds an additional 2 weeks to every project I do. So, like when I build my server rack, it's like, great, server rack's ready, but I can't actually fully use it yet because I need to film it and break it down and do all this stuff. Anyways, that's what I've been working on. Super busy. But now I'm focusing on this. I'm going to clean up a lot of stuff. I'm redoing my desk. I have a huge monitor. I have a huge monitor downstairs. My neighbor's going to help me bring it upstairs after this. I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's like the biggest monitor you could possibly buy. It's the Samsung Neo G9 57-inch. I think that those are all the monikers for this monitor. But it's pretty big. It was pretty expensive, but I figured, you know what? If I'm going to go ultra-wide, I'm going to get the best ultra-wide that ever exists. We'll see how it works. So anyways, so there was that. And then I'm kind of redoing my workbench back here too. You can see my kind of tool workbench here. I'm going to be cleaning that up. But then my workbench back here, I realized that it's fun doing stuff back there sometimes instead of going in the basement. And so, that has been full of kind of props and stuff like that. Every now and then I get to actually work on it. But I want to make filming back there a lot easier because I want to do a lot more. And then this, you see that? That's just me bumping into the table. I hope to fix that. There's an easy fix, not as easy, but I hope to fix that because it drives me wild. It drives me wild. I'm sure it drives you wild too. I don't have a great solution right now for it. I think the solution is going to be hang it from the ceiling so that when I bump my desk, it doesn't happen. It's less noticeable when I'm sitting, but I love standing. So although I've been standing since, 7 o'clock this morning. So, anyways, Hey, let's talk about you guys and talk about what's going on. If you have something you want to share in chat, I feel like I should put my hat on, like it's distracting. It kind of looked okay when it was in dark mode. Light mode, it's like, whoa, Tim, did you just wake up? I promise I did not just wake up. I've been running around like a mad person since about 7 o'clock, trying to get a lot of this stuff in order in here. I should show you my server rack right now. This gave people, this made a lot of people on Twitter anxious. So right now, I wish I had the plugin right now to live broadcast from my phone, based on a camera source. But man, it is, I have my server rack right here. So this is my mini rack where my Mac is in. I might be able to swing this out. Let me try this. I promise we're going to get into comments and stuff, and we're going to talk about stuff. I'm going to try to do something live without destroying the stream or unplugging anything, because I have this on an arm. It's half the reason why it's wobbly. I can't get around to it. Anyways, I have this. You can kind of see. Anyways, I have that server case, or server rack on on top of, no, look at me. I have that server rack on top of a table, and it has casters, and my server rack has casters too, and it is kind of wild. It gives me anxiety too. At first I thought, yeah, it's fine, it's safe, I'll keep it like that. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I shared a picture on Twitter. You can see it there because I can't get a good angle of it right now. Spoiler alert, once I get stuff in order, I'm also going to be, hey, whoa, dude, dude, thank you so much. What is going on? Sorry, dude, I'll call out subs. Man, dude, thank you guys so much. Let me call these out real quick. Dude, Ilu, gifted 10 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. You guys do enough already. I'm sounding like my dad. This is what my dad says, but I really mean it. But you guys do enough already. That's my dad's go-to when we get him a gift. You guys do enough. All right. Anyways, dude, Ilude, thank you so much. 10 subs. So Joan Faraside, Wiley Coyote. Oh man. Wiley Coyote. Wiley Coyote USA. Bill Mayer. Tralmix. Romeo Jr., Ario Cloud, user Pala. I'm gonna go with, I can't even pronounce that. TKE. That's what I'm going with. Zero Full and Mellow Links. Enjoy your gifted sub from Ilu. Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. You guys do too much already. And dude, Ilu, thanks for the resub. Tier 1, 37 months. 3 years, 1 month. Let's go. Thank you so much. Craft on CU, thank you so much. Resub Prime, 5 months, 1 month streak. Thank you so much. PC Geek, resub, tier 1, 37 months, 37 month streak. Thank you so much. Oh my, 37 months. Holy cow. I agree. Dude, you guys, thank you so much. Dude, international, internal net. I like it. The intranet. I like it. Internal net. A sub. Thank you so much for spending your Prime sub on me. I appreciate it. Man, never expected, but always appreciate it. So I thank you. Sorry, I was kind of on a rant. I do apologize for not calling those out right away. I was kind of ranting, and my notifications are on low because they blast my eardrums. But I was saying coming up to, I'm gonna have cameras in certain spots so I can switch to certain stuff, so I don't have to use that arm to try to do what I was doing to talk about the server rack here. Anyways, I have a server rack that's on casters on top of a 4-foot tall table that's also on casters. I know it's not going to fall over. It is pretty top heavy. It actually almost fell over on me because I was pulling it out. It hit a cord and I was like, ooh. But I've decided, I think it's safe, but I would hate for one day this to fall over and crush my wife or my dog. So I think I'm going to move it. Anyways, I'm still moving stuff around. Yes, I do have a server rack in here. I talked about it a little bit in the last video. Reason why I have a server rack is because yeah, I found I like racking things. I do have a problem, but I like racking things, not because I do like the physical act of doing it, but also I like having these self-contained units. I almost feel like it's Docker in real life. I almost feel like this is Docker in real life. So my server rack downstairs, that's my Docker container, has a whole bunch of services in there, right? And it's all self-contained. It has power, it has battery, it has backup, it has network and everything. I can unplug it, ship it somewhere else, ship it to a data center, ship it to my friend's house, power it on. It'll all come back up. It'll all work. And it has dynamic DNS, so it'll figure it out. So really, I could wheel my server rack in the basement anywhere I want in the world, and all my services will come back online after a couple of minutes or whatever. Same for here. This is my smaller Docker container, this server rack over here, and this is going to be all of my workstation stuff. So no real servers in here. They happen to be in the rack. But all of the stuff I use on a daily basis to either edit, to code, to test, to, you name it. It's all going to be here, and I have a switch in here and stuff like that. I'm going to show you guys all of this stuff, and it will probably confirm your subscription, your suspicions that I'm losing it. Anyways, I've had my wife is gone too, so I feel like a mad scientist. I'm just running around, fixing stuff in here. I have every drawer in this toolbox open. I'm eating dinner at 8 o'clock at night. It's just me and the dogs, me and the boys, me and the dogs. So batching it up, doing computer stuff. She's gonna be like, "Whoa, are you okay? Have you gone outside or talked to anyone in the last, I don't know, 3 days?" Oh, anyway, so that's kind of what I've been working on. I'm pretty amped up because after I get some of this, my neighbor's going to help me move this monitor up here, help me bring this server rack down here in a few, and then after that, I'm really going to tear it up in here, even more so. And I didn't want to tear it up before the stream because I'm switching over, all my cameras, all my mics, everything, audio gear, swapping it all out and rearranging some. So I was like, should I do that before the stream? Probably not. I did have some issues that I unplugged a couple of the wrong things, and that's why the stream started late. Anyways, that was a lot going on. Hey, if you have something you want to share, let's talk about you, because I'm done talking about myself. If you have something you want to share, absolutely throw it in chat and let's talk about it. If you have something related to tech, if you have something, you're struggling with, you have something you want to talk about or something you want to share, I would love to talk about it. I love it when you guys... See, this is why it kind of stinks to move cameras live, because then you have like stuff like this. It's like sagging. Ugh. Sorry, 1 second. This is kind of why it was probably a bad idea that I moved stuff around live. Anyways, if you have something you want to share, throw it in chat. Let's talk about it. I would love to. I get a lot of my ideas of what you guys are interested in and working on out of chat. So let's do it. I did call out subs. Thank you guys again. I just real quick. Internal Net, thank you. iLoot, thank you. iLoot again, thank you. Craft on CU, thank you. PC Geek, thank you. And real quick, I'll call out some of the follows that happened right before the stream or roughly before or during. So Evil Snake, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Y and I name. Oh gosh, UI name. Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Oblong Melon. Feels like my head and my hair right now is an oblong melon. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. So let's get in the chat. Let's talk about what you guys are talking about. I would love to. Yeah, let's chat because I haven't. If you can't tell, I feel a little crazy because I haven't been talking to anyone. Like I said, my wife's out of town, so it's like just me talking to the dogs or talking to myself about what I'm gonna do next. It's kind of okay. It's gonna be okay. So let's see. Sigor, hi everyone. Blood Blight. What's up? Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna turn this a little bit. Cyber Knight, yo all, how's it going? A lot of salutations, a lot of hello. What's going on? Whoa, one before Blood Blight. Techno Tim, I plan on doing Plenum return for my homelab rack. Whoa, yeah, that is wild. You'll have to let me know how that goes. I honestly, I can't even think of how that would be used. But I assume that's, to be honest, I don't even know what that is. I need to know what that is. Plenum rack. I assume, I'm not going to guess because when I guess, I always guess wrong. But let me know. Tell me some more. Tell me some more about what you're doing. Sounds awesome either way. Sounds awesome either way. Sigor, I'm looking for a 1 or 2U low power storage server. DIY isn't a deal breaker, but I would prefer something off the shelf. Does anyone have any recommendations? Yeah, that's tough. That is tough because you know your requirements are 1 or 2U. That's already putting you in a weird price category. Not DIY, which kind of maybe then, raises the price a little bit more. Low power. That's another one that's tough. Mainly because, I assume you mean low power as far as compute goes and as far as the components go. Because once you fill it with however many drives, that's just by nature of adding drives, you're going to be adding 5 to 10 watts for each drive. I mean, give or take. And so, it can add up quick. That's tough too, because a storage server 1U gets really tough because then you're saying, okay, I'm going to forfeit the height. And then you're going to be piling in disks to make the depth even bigger. I'm not sure, to be honest. Storage in a 1U is tough, real tough. I mean, Craft Computing did a video a while back on this storage server that was 1U, and it was really cheap. But at the same time, the thing was like max depth, and I think it was a little bit loud. That's another thing with noise. Once you get into 1U, you have smaller fans, and needs to push air a little bit quicker. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's tough. It's tough. I mean, you are looking. I think someone said unicorn earlier. It kind of is a unicorn. I mean, I have 2 1U servers. I would consider them low power. It's I forget what Intel's there, 57. I'm not sure. It's only single socket, chose that on purpose. It's only single power supply, did that on purpose. But it only has 4 drive bays. So I mean, that's not a storage server unless you're gonna chunk it full of pretty big drives, which isn't out of the question. You could throw 14 terabytes in there, and boom, you got depending on how you split it. 28, or if you're going to do RAID 5, you have even more. But yeah, I don't know. I wish there was a magic answer for it. I wish I knew. The other option is, I mean, this isn't going full low power, but the other option is to use a JBOD, right? To use a JBOD and just say, hey, you know what? I don't care that much about the compute. Just get the lowest power, maybe Xeon you can, or lowest power 1U server, which you were kind of talking about, and then just say like local drives on this machine aren't going to be a thing other than the OS, and then on top of that, then you just put in an HBA, and you might be able to get by with you could go low power. I mean, this is going to be desktop class stuff, but you could get by with an Intel Core whatever I series or AMD Ryzen series. Build it that way, super low power. You only need, 1 PCI Express slot, throw an HBA in there, and then you connect your JBOD or your whatever disk shelf. But I will say that those aren't that low power either. I have one I'm still selling, but I would say, like, if you're in the area, I would almost give it to you, because but you're not. But yeah, that offer is on the table, I think. Speaking of giving stuff away, I'm going to be giving, as I'm cleaning this stuff out, I'm also finding like old tech that's still great. I'm just going to start giving it away on Twitter tonight, I think. And just like anyone in the Twin Cities want this thing, because like it's great. I hate to just like have it sit and not get any use. So anyway, Sigor, let's see. Yakto, Sigor can get a HP DL60 Gen 10s for about $400. Hey, that sounds like a pretty good deal. I don't know anything about HP Gen 10s, but when I see $400, hey, that's a pretty good deal for 1U, for sure. Let's see. What are you guys working on? That's me. Let's see. Sigor, I know it's like asking for a unicorn. There's a unicorn bit. But any suggestions or parts lists or ideas would be great. Yeah. I mean it. Yeah. Like I said, it's going to be a tough one. But I think there are many ways to solve this, and I think we talked about a couple. Is it 1U server with storage local? Or are you going to use a JBOD? If you want JBOD, you could even use. It doesn't even have to be rack mounted. I know you want to rack mount it, but you could go, mini PC that has a PCI Express But then you could connect to a JBOD, and then it's pretty low power. You'd make up for the power you're not using on a server class machine, and then pay for it on the JBOD side. So, but yeah, it does sound cool to figure out. I like this. I like coming up with a lot of solutions, I guess, or ideas on how ways to solve stuff, and then going from there. I think it's fun. It is bright in here. Can I pay someone to change the the theme in here? This is like killing my eyes. No, I'm kidding. But I know as soon as I mention it, people usually do it. So am I kidding? Seagore. Dogs are going crazy. Seagore. Oh, sorry. Yeah, my eyes aren't lining up. I might take off my glasses too. Like how off the Thank you. All right, I'm gonna be squinting, but I'm taking off my glasses because there's a weird glare. This does not even look like normal me, but I am not normal me right now. Yakto says, no. Seagore says, Yakto, is that when you have, or do you have an experience with 24/7 with TrueNAS? There you go. That's why. That's right. TrueNAS build. Yakto says, I have 10 of them in my racks. I don't run TrueNAS, but I don't see why it would be a problem to do so. Yeah, for sure. Like TrueNAS is, it's just going to run on anything. I mean, it's going to run on anything, has support for, if you're going with scale, it's going to run on everything and have support for almost everything driver-wise. A little bit different if you go with core, but most of the standard stuff is going to be supported there too. So, yeah, YWS. Yakto's holding down YWS out there, and the Pacific Northwest PNW, YWS, and the PNW. Craft on CU. Hey Tim, how's it going? Hey chat. Hey, I'm doing good. Today's a fun day for me. It's mostly physical work of getting this stuff in order, but I need that after sitting and editing my last video for I don't even want to tell you how many hours I have into that last video. It spanned, putting it together, writing it, testing it. It spanned, and even just assembling everything, it spanned weeks. But editing, I probably have a good 30 hours into editing it. It was fun. I enjoy doing lots of different things, but it's kind of nice to stand up again. Let's see. Is that Noise Marine? Changing to twist lock power connectors on my rack is basically all I'm doing this weekend. Have a couple servers coming in this week. Oh, I see what you mean. It's the one where you twist and they lock in place. I like that. I am guilty of. I don't have. So in my two of my one-use servers, the power cable's, kind of loose, and it has this zip tie that I can connect to it. But it doesn't always hold the power in because I don't have an arm. So when I expand this server and pull it out, it doesn't have one of those expanding arms, which I love, but I hate putting the cords in there, but I love it when they're already there. So I've unplugged my one-use servers quite a few times doing that. So anyways, that sounds awesome. I don't know. Are they still NEMA plugs? I assume they are. And what do they plug into? I'm curious now. I don't work in data centers, but I pretend like I do at home. So there's my hacky way of doing stuff, and then there's the real way pros do it. I'm always curious about the pro way. Gumshoe Noir, Tim, I've been installing coasters on my media center. I've been installing coasters on my media center. So I can easily roll it out. In and out and work behind it, and Terraform and Cloudflare DNS configurations. Nifty cool, Ansible and Terraform. Where have you been all my life? That is awesome. Yeah, I agree. So coasters on the media center. I see casters. It probably meant casters, unless I'm reading that wrong. Coasters. Casters. That is awesome. I love casters. As you might have been able to tell, I actually bought some commercial grade casters to put on this table, and that was interesting to figure out. This whole rubberized expansion ring that you can tighten, and it expands the rubber, and then it fits into the pipe. It's pretty cool. I've never done casters like that. Worked out pretty good. That is awesome, and that is the main reason why I want my stuff to be on casters. I know there's going to be a time where I need to get behind the server rack right here. And on top of that, it's a very narrow spot. I have my desk right here. I have about 4 inches. Then I have a server rack. Then I have about 4 inches. And then I have a mini kind of couch to chill and watch TV sometimes. But yeah, so I'm all about casters. I want to get behind it. But I think the answer is to take it off the 4-foot high table that this is on. That's awesome. And then doing Ansible and Terraform, awesome. To terraforming Cloudflare DNS configurations, awesome. I've done some of that. I actually enjoy it. I'm almost to the point where I can keep it all as code. I've been cheating sometimes, and I'll re-import my state from Cloudflare. And maybe that's not cheating, but I'm guilty of still using the UI to do some things. But it's a lot of time to figure out like how to set up everything and use every feature of like a remote service. So it's tough. Let's see. Craft on CU, is that glass fiber in the preview? The white cables. Ooh, oh no, it's I see what you mean. Probably in the preview that was running. No, they're just little white slim Cat 6 cables that connect, and no, nothing fancy. Slim Cat 6, it's like my favorite. Those cables are everywhere now. Ever since I discovered those on Amazon and put them in my server rack, now I'm just like, anytime I buy cables, I buy the slim Cat 6 ones because I think they're nice and they look cool. I'm not gonna lie, I bought them all for looks, but they work really well too. And being so thin, they're super flexible too. So, but no, nothing that fancy. Perfect agent. I'm working on getting my butt handed to me. Sorry, I lost track of it. On Quake Champions. Yeah, I can imagine. If I go back and play any game I used to play, I'm just gonna get destroyed by someone. But hopefully you're having fun. I know how that goes. And especially like if I were to play a game that's been released for a while now, destroyed. Because everyone figures out like all the quirks or where to hide or what to do. I think like launch day and a week or two into most games is where it's pretty fun because everybody, it's a level playing field for the most part. I mean, you're going to have people who are just better at first-person shooters anyways, but they don't know all the mechanics, gravity. They don't know inertia, in the game and how everything's going to work, how fast it is to reload. So it's pretty fun. And then, where you can and can't camp. I get destroyed. Team Fortress 2 every now and then. I'm like, yeah, let's play this game. I hop in and I'm just dead every time. Like I'm alive for 5 seconds and waiting for more. I'm dead like the whole entire game. So sounds fun though. Let's see, because for patch cables, they are a bit too thin. No, they're totally fine. I would say I have maybe 100 of them, and they're totally fine. Everyone uses these too. I mean, they have all different colors. Totally fine. They're great. PC Geek, I got my Unify. Oh yeah, aggregation switch. 48 non-PoE and UAPs. I actually got a couple more for $35 each now, so I have 3 active APs and a cold backup. Wow, yeah. All right, PC Geek is now on Unify stuff. I am going to put on my glasses because now I'm like in this weird spot, minus the glare, where it's kind of hard to read. It's in a weird angle. But dude, that is awesome. Aggregation switch, I do not have one. I was debating it, and I left a gap in my server rack specifically for that. I'm in this weird spot where I have 3 or 4 devices that can use 10 gig in my rack downstairs. Actually, I have 4, but then those SFP plus ports are spread out over 2 switches, and I have to uplink. And I'm like, ooh, should I get the aggregation switch to gain some more ports, and then I don't have to do all this funny business on? Oh, okay, 3 are here. 1 is here, leave 1 open for an uplink, and then the other one has to uplink too. I should just uplink them all to 1 aggregation switch like you're doing, and then they'll all be down from that. But sounds awesome. UAPs, I'm a huge fan too. I'm a huge fan of those just because that's what got me in the ecosystem. That's the gateway into Unify, at least it was for me. But awesome, man. You've gone to the dark side or the light side. I'm not sure which side it is, but it's one of those sides, and I think it's awesome. It's awesome. I do, personally. First time here. Hey, Snailsman. I like it. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Let's see. Noise Marine says, I have a couple of DL 160s Gen 8 and 9 running TrueNAS fine, and I think they have 8 months of uptime right now. That's some awesome uptime. That is awesome uptime. Yeah, that is awesome. I finally rebooted my TrueNAS system, I think yesterday, because I patched it. Other than that, it's up. It's up. And it's solid, too. I use Scale. But yeah, there was a patch for Scale the other day, and I that was the first time taking it down. That's the only time I take it down. It's so solid, like it has zero problems. TrueNAS Scale, zero problems. Granted, I only use, storage pieces of it, so you're talking NFS, SMB. I do use the S3 or MinIO, which is going away, unfortunately. I get why it's going away. And then, pretty simple ZFS type stuff and shares. And I SCSI too. And solid, like zero problems, always up. I've never like woken up to my NAS being down. Like TrueNAS is so solid. It's awesome. It's awesome. So yeah. Snailsman, excited for the Raspberry Pi 5. Pre-ordered mine last week, and it won't get here until late November, early December. That is awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I mean, I saw Jeff Keeling's video. I saw Network Chuck's video. I saw a couple of videos. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. I can't wait until it gets into people's hands. I know it. The pre-release version was in creators' hands. I can't wait until it gets into other people's hands too, because I'm very interested at what people are going to do with it. And is it more of the same but faster, or is it, hey, now I have this PCI Express mini cable, so now I can do other interesting things? And so that's what I'm really hoping for. Not the, hey, I did this thing I used to do, but it's also faster. I want to see that, hey, I'm using this in a new way, and it's awesome, because I feed off that type of stuff. But awesome, congratulations. Hey, November, December, that's not too bad, considering you can't even buy a 4, so at least you got one coming to you. That is awesome. Good evening. Thank you. Perfect Agent. On the actual tech front, been designing a tilted roof mount solar array for a flat roof, and just finished, and I don't like the price tag. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it is expensive. It is expensive any way you look at it. This is me, just, I like to speculate, and I'm kind of a skeptic. I'm an optimist skeptic, I would say, but I always wonder, like, is it priced in a way to where, like, is the cost of goods really the cost of goods? And I'm sure a lot of it is going to be labor. I'm sure a ton of that is labor too. But I always wonder, like, do they know that people are going to, like, if we tell them that this is an investment and it just, you're going to pay on it for however many years, 10 years, and then you'll finally break even. And at the same time, you'll get, it'll pay off, your electric bill. I don't know. Sometimes I'm skeptical about pricing, but I'm sure it's expensive. I know that labor's super crazy expensive for it too. Yeah, I wish it was, I wish it were more affordable too. Because, as you're saying, it's pretty expensive. I know the more people who do it and get it and install it, it'll get cheaper. I just wish it was a little bit more affordable too, because I consider it. But at the same time, I don't know if I'm going to live in this house for 10 years. But I would love to put it up for 2, or however long, But it's, I think you also kind of have to commit to the house too. I love this house, but I'm not committed to make a huge investment on this house for that. But it sounds awesome. I would love to. Knock that power bill down. Gumshoe Noir, Techno Tim, looks good without the hat. In my honest opinion, perhaps better. Thanks. My hair's going wild. So I've been on a crazy hair journey. Used to shave it off. Then I let it go crazy during COVID. I had it back in a bun for a while. And then I decided, 6 months ago, I'm just going to shave it all off again. And now I'm letting it grow back. I'm not going to let it grow back the way it was before. But it's kind of crazy. It's sticking straight up, mainly because that's what happens to my hair. I have curly hair, and if it's not curled, the other version of it is straight up. So I don't know. I feel like it's like kind of Bieberish right now. So that's not what I'm going for. I'm not going for anything with my hair. This is me without a hat on a Saturday. So I appreciate it. Thunder God 8700K is thank you. Still a very solid processor, running it myself. Yeah. I mean, this entire stream and everything I do, every video I create, all the code that I write is being crunched on by this 8700K. I do agree. This processor is fantastic. It's fantastic. I couldn't. I guess I don't know if I could want a better processor for me. I mean, I kind of. So what don't I like about this processor? I wish more cores would be cool. This has a decent amount of cores. A little more efficient, sure. I mean, these are the things we all want. But then a little more L1, L2 cache, sure. You usually get that on newer processors. And most of that's just to make things a little bit more snappy when I either write code or convert my videos. A lot of that's driven off of my 3090, but it still uses the CPU quite a bit when I render videos, especially for like real-time playback of stuff. My CPU kind of gets pegged, and that's probably Adobe's fault for the most part. But I really want to see if if I'm editing videos on a newer processor, do a lot of these quirks go away? And I hope so. If not, it's all Adobe's fault, and I'm just gonna boot it out the door and try something else because it kills me. Like this last video, half the reason why it took so long is I'm waiting 5-10 seconds for something to start playing, render my preview, and I'm like, oh, this is such a flow killer. When you're in a flow, when you're in a flow zone or whatever, and anything that interrupts that flow is just like it just kills it, kills the mood. So yeah, and so I don't know if that's my CPU, I don't know if it's my older RAM, or it's the combination of everything, and I think it might just be the combination of everything. So I'm looking forward to upgrading though. I don't know what I'm going to do with this machine. I feel like it should also give it away too. I don't know. I have a hard time. Don't get me wrong. I titled this stream Tech Hoarders because I feel like I've been hoarding stuff, but at the same time, I don't know. I really enjoy giving something to someone who will use it and appreciate it. I mean, that's the hope for everything you give away, right? Anything you give away, an animal. Not that you're giving away animals or anything. I don't know. A tool. Do you want to give away a tool and that tool is just going to sit in someone's toolbox and not be used? No. And that's kind of what I feel with some of my gear. I want to give it away while it's still, has life in it. And I want to give it to someone that will use it. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. I mean, I do the same thing with Goodwill. My wife and I have been pretty good about, have you worn this shirt in the last 6 months? I mean, I got a couple, from college still that I'm like, nah, those aren't ready to go yet. But for the most part, I'm like, nah, I don't need it anymore. Tech shirts, while I love them, if it's just sitting in my drawer taking up space for a year, then I feel like, well, I'm just going to donate these. And so my wife and I have been really good about getting rid of, home goods and clothing and doing that. I'm getting better at getting rid of tech stuff, and I think I'm going to get even better here soon because it's I don't have a lot of storage space, and I want someone else to get some use out of it. And, I have zero stipulations. If I give something away, there's zero expectations that someone has to hey, you gotta run Linux on this thing, and you gotta build me this, and you gotta, run this, and you gotta use it every day. No, there's none of that. I mean, it's awesome if, I give something away and someone's like, hey, this thing is awesome, or it works or whatever. That's just a bonus. So anyways, I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm trying to clean some stuff up around here. No more tech hoarding for me. I've been pretty good about getting rid of stuff, but man, the last year I feel like I've just accumulated a lot of stuff, and I guess that's what happens when if you're a tech YouTuber and people are like, hey, will you want to use this product for something? You're like, yeah, sure, I might use it for something. It piles up quick, and so I'm gonna create reverse logistics for it to get rid of it quicker instead of letting it sit in a bin for a year before I'm like, oh yeah, this would have been really awesome for someone else a year ago, and now it's kind of like it's okay. Anyways, so let's see. Perfect Agent. I need to get to Canada sometime myself. Got to crash my parents' company's headquarters. Hey. Oh yeah, so your parents have a company in Canada. Yeah, that sounds awesome. 45 drives. I don't know. There are lots of companies in Canada. I know a few, but yeah, sounds awesome. You got to get up to Canada. I love Canada. I've been there. I don't know. I've probably been to Canada 10 times. I lived in Toronto for 6 months. Toronto. That's how you say Toronto. Toronto. If you're in Toronto, you say Toronto. It's just like Tron and add a O. At least that's how it was when I was there. People are like, "Hey, you already say it like you're I don't know, like you're from Toronto." Anyways, but yeah, I really love Canada. I mean, I'm in Minnesota, and you know the border's still pretty far from here. I don't know if it's 5 or 6 hours, but I love Calgary. I love Calgary. I love Banff. I do love Toronto. I love lots of places in Canada. It's just really awesome. It's really awesome. Canadian Rockies are awesome too. I just love them. The Canadian side of Niagara Falls, awesome too. Awesome too. Anyways, let's see. Thusi Gaming. Hey Tim, any chance you could make a tutorial for using Cloudflare tunnels with traffic having a hard time getting it working? Maybe. I'm not. So maybe. I do have this idea that I'm noodling on for a series, rather than just having a whole bunch of random tutorials. A series. I'm noodling on it, so I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it might include that. So is it out of the question? No, it's very much in the question, and maybe it will. And, you know, Traffic's going to be releasing a new version here soon, air quotes on soon, because, I have no idea when they're finally going to release the final version. So I do want to make sure that, I don't create something for the current version, then, 3 months later, it's like out of date. Not that I wouldn't enjoy it still, but, I don't want to learn something on the old way, even though it's not old yet, but will be old soon, maybe? I don't know. But I definitely, in my backlog for sure. I think, don't quote me on this, but Christian Lempa might have made one. I remember, his was maybe just with Docker. I would check out Christian's channel. He might have made one. And if not, it's definitely in my backlog too. So, but yeah, I hope you figure it out. That I know it's frustrating, not getting something to work, and you just like want it to work, and something like that, like infrastructure wise, where it's, this is infrastructure. I mean, there's no other way around it, other way to say it. But when it's infrastructure like a reverse proxy or you name it, that's just like an enabler for everything else you want to do. And so it's tough when infrastructure, isn't doing what you want to do, or you get stuck on the infrastructure piece because you want to do something else. You want to host a website, you want to host a service, you want to expose something to the public that you're already running. And so, Traffic with Cloudflare tunnels is just a means to an end, and it can get frustrating. So I apologize. I mean, you could toss it out. We have a Discord server. A lot of people in there have done that and would love to help too. So you might not have to wait. And, if I find some resources, I will too. Just toss it in our Discord, and either someone or me will help, and I'll point you to some resources if I find them too. Snailsman, bring your whole self to the stream, man. I love it. Yeah. This is kind of me. This is kind of normal Tim talking really loud. This is kind of me. I threw on a hoodie and sweat. I woke up this morning. I threw on a hoodie and a sweatshirt. I let the dogs out. I filled up the bird feeders, and I was like, made some coffee, and I'm like, let's tear up this office now. But I knew in my head, like, I kind of had to, like, slow down around 3-ish to stream and not tear everything down. But I did fix quite a bit that you can't see. My sound panels were falling down because there's ribbon cords out and then detached. And so anyways, I'm at the point where I just need a little help from my neighbor. He's going to help me after the stream. We're going to move a couple of things. I'm going to remove this, like, server hazard. This is definitely an OSHA violation right here in my office. It's the right thing to do. Even though I would love my server rack to be boosted up, it's not really safe. But the casters on casters, they both lock, so it is safe. It's just not safe when you go to move it, because if you hit a bump, all of a sudden you got 100 pounds of stuff coming onto you, and the last thing I want is either for my wife or my dogs to get hurt, because then it'd just be like, man, you're so dumb. Like, you shouldn't have done that. Anyways, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm mostly myself most of the time. But yeah, no hat today because I don't want to put one on. And once I put on a hat, it like smashes down my hair. I'm like, okay, like I had a shaved head 6 months ago. I'm kind of going to let it go wild again. I enjoy it being kind of wild. I don't know why. It's like being a kid again. Just let your hair go. Let's see. Yacto working on configuration to finally get Ceph FS backed integrated into OpenStack. That is awesome. That is awesome. So your storage, I don't want to say class because I'm thinking Kubernetes, but your whole storage backend for OpenStack would be Ceph FS. That sounds pretty awesome. I need to learn more about Ceph. I've said this, and I have zero excuse. Like this 45 tribes, like they do Ceph, and they even offered me training, but I couldn't attend. So I have zero excuse. But I definitely appreciated the offer that they gave me. But at the same time, I think I need to learn Ceph like on my own schedule and when I'm ready to teach it though too, because I don't want to waste their time. But anyways, I hear so much about it. It sounds awesome. But I also want to learn Ceph, I think, without Proxmox. Sounds kind of weird. But I kind of want to decouple those two so I can really learn Ceph. Like I know that, you know, Proxmox supports Ceph, and OpenStack probably does too. There's a lot of things that support it. But I want to figure it out, like, I don't want to say fully standalone, but by itself, so that I can discern the two. So I can, you know, say, oh, this part is Proxmox, and oh, this part is Ceph. I get it. Because sometimes, like, when you mix two technologies, like when I was learning React, right? And React, everyone paired Redux with it. So I had to learn React, Redux. I had to learn like 5 technologies at once. And it was like, who's doing what? You know, who's doing what? You know, and it was hard to talk about it because I couldn't separate the two in my head. It was like, oh, React. Oh, is that where I'm getting state? It's like, no, that's from Redux. Okay, well, then I have this higher order component and this wrapper around this method that I call that's on props. No, that's Redux. It's like, okay. What part is React? So anyways, I'm well over that now. I've been doing React for a long time. But anytime I mix two technologies, it's kind of like, it's hard for me to discern which is doing which. And so when I think I learn Ceph, I think I'm going to learn Ceph on its own, kind of, sort of. But maybe I'll bounce some ideas off you. You seem to know Ceph too. So anyways, yeah, let's go. As long as the casters don't have casters, you should be good. Yeah, it should be good. Yeah, my casters have casters. That would be a terrible idea. And so yeah, I know. The other reason why I like my server rack, it's right here. I showed it a little bit earlier, is because it's at waist height. You know, I'm tall. I'm 6'5". This server rack is like exactly where I need it now. I just stand, and I don't have to like crawl around on the ground. So I thought it was like a great idea, but it's not a great idea because it's so top heavy. But I love it being that high. And then I wish. Another consideration I had was chopping up a standing desk, right? I thought like, oh, you know what? I'll get a second standing desk, sit-stand desk, and then I'll chop the board in half or whatever, and I'll make it square, and then I'll put it on there. Then I can, raise it and lower it. And those things have like 300, 300-pound weight limit. And, I ended up talking to a couple of people who worked at them, and they're like, yeah, the lowest, I think the smallest length you can collapse them down to was like, it's like 36 inches or something, which is 3 feet. And I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, that might be a good idea too, because I could just put it long ways. Maybe I'm back on something. Like, I don't know. Is that a good idea? Like now putting my server on a sit-stand desk with a smaller desktop going vertical, and then putting it on there so I can raise it and lower it. I don't know. Maybe that is. And the reason why I want to be able to raise and lower is because I just don't want to like crawl around on the ground while I'm working on it, which is probably going to be rare. But then at the same time, I don't want the air intake to just pull in dust off the ground. That's the biggest one. If I raise it, 3 feet off the ground, a lot less dust is going to get in there. It's just the way it's going to work. So I don't know. I got to figure it out. Bloodlight. Hey, nice. All right. Enthusiast Gaming. Want to get Kubernetes set up in my home lab and migrate most of my Docker instances to it. Would this be a good idea? I really want to use some sort of CI/CD, but most of that stuff seems to be targeted at Kubernetes only and not regular VMs running Docker. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, this kind of ties into what I was talking about a little bit earlier about series type stuff. I know exactly what you mean. It's like that's the part that I struggle with Docker. It's not that it doesn't work. It's not that it's anything about scaling. It's just like the whole GitOps piece is just kind of missing unless you use a ton of hacks. And I get it. Portainer has the GitOps piece built in for Docker, and that works with Business Edition. And I think you can get 5 business nodes for free or something just by saying yes. And I get it, and that works. But I think it only works for updates, which kind of stinks because I mean, if you're, like a lot of people who do GitOps, you want to be able to tear your whole entire environment down and build it back up. So it's tough. It's tough mainly because I'll say the biggest part, it's not deploying Docker YAMLs or anything like that or the stacks. For me, in my mind, the hardest part is the volumes piece. Because, you have data mapped to a volume and like, it's mapped to a volume where, and you define it, but you got to also create it, and maybe you just going to map everything to a folder that already exists. That could work. That could work too. But yeah, the actual automation piece around like a standalone Docker it's tough. It's tough to figure out. I'm hoping I can crack some of that in the next couple of weeks because I would love to have a standalone Docker system that's like, hey, here's everything. Let's load it up. Let's go. Let's do fun stuff on this. And so, again, kind of going into my serious stuff, but stay tuned. I know this is a problem that I've been trying to solve in my head for 6 months. It's what I think about like sometimes in the shower. It's what I think about when I'm going into the basement to get a tool. Is exactly what you're talking about. It's like you want to do some cool automated stuff. You may not want to do it with Kubernetes. You want to do it with Docker. And so just know like these are the thoughts that go through my head, and you're kind of hitting it right on the head too. I've been trying to figure this out for a long time, and I keep going back to, well, Portainer can support it, but then it's like, it gets complicated with volumes. And so there's got to be someone who's doing more GitOps stuff with Docker only hosts. And I get it, like, hey, that might be how you graduate to Kubernetes, but some people aren't ready for Kubernetes or don't want Kubernetes. It's a lot to take on. So but I just know that's exactly you're exactly in my headspace. Like I said, I've been researching this very topic and noodling on it. I'd say for 6 months, and every time I have some extra cycles in my brain, it wanders to there, and I start thinking about it again. Yeah, thank you guys for the definitely thank you for the subs. Can't you just take casters off the rack? Yeah, I have my sys racks wall mounted, so I didn't install casters. Good. Is CB Pilot? Yes. Sorry, CPB Pilot. Yes, I could. And so I feel like the dangerous piece isn't necessarily the casters that are on this server rack, because I have legs and I could totally take off those legs and I could set the server rack just down on the table. It's the fact that this table the base isn't that wide. And so it's 24 by 24, which is exactly the same size as the server rack, roughly 24 by 24. So I have this, this tall, 4 foot high table that's 24 by 24. And then on it, a server rack that's 24 by 24. The server rack probably weighs, a good 100 pounds now that I have stuff in there. And, it's just super top heavy. So what, do I throw, sandbags on the bottom? Believe me, I thought about this stuff. Could I get weights? Could I attach it to the wall? Could I toe strap it down or use a come along to strap it down? And I'm like, that's not helping the center of gravity. And so my problem right now is the center of gravity. It's just, it's too tall and too heavy. And there's no way for me to do this. So I don't know. And then I started going last night I was like, oh, wire racks. Like I love wire racks. My home lab used to be all wire racks. Can I get a wire rack in here? And then put casters on it. And I started going down this path again. I'm like, now I have a lower center of gravity. It's still good. But now I have this really weird, sized wire rack. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it on the ground. And I would love to mount it on the wall. This one I think is too heavy. But I want it to be tall. Because like right now it's like the perfect height for me. Because I'm so tall. And so I can just walk up, work on it, close it back up. But anyways. I agree. Your rack shouldn't be top heavy is the issue. I agree. Well, the thing is, it's only a 12U rack, right? It's only 12U, and so my UPS is at the bottom. So if I take the rack by itself, not top heavy at all. Network at the top, UPS at the bottom, heavier servers at the bottom. Rack by itself, not top heavy. But when I put it on a 3-foot tall table, now the whole entire solution, the rack is top heavy. So yeah, for sure. I get what you mean, though. Hey, Mad Tiago, thanks for the Prime sub. Thank you so much for spending your Prime sub on me. Thank you. I appreciate it. You could even use the caster's holes to mount it to the table. Yeah, but I still think it's the entire solution is going to be top heavy. I even considered just drill the legs into the ground. I don't know. It's so weird. The internal net. So I had to troubleshoot both my Dell servers. I ended up reloading them with PMX8. Now trying to understand the file system and sharing. I don't know what PMX8 is. I hope you figure it out. For sure. Thunder God, wishing Uptime Kuma support a client server TLS certificate so I could easily monitor my Docker. Yeah, I see what you mean. Let me think about this though. So Uptime Kuma, you can ignore certificate errors, right? So you can ignore certificate errors, and then contact the service directly, right? Let me think about this. So yeah, on your client server TLS certificates. So the way that I do it, so I use Uptime Kuma. I'll just tell you the way that I do it, the way that I've done in the past, and maybe this will spark some ideas. So with Uptime Kuma, I monitor a lot of things. I'll just say, for example, I monitor things, I think, 3 different ways, right? So Uptime Kuma is running. I monitor first the endpoint. So I am running traffic, right? And so I'll go through the reverse proxy to the pod or the service, in your case, Docker, pod or instance or service that's running, the container. And so I'll monitor that way. Go through the reverse proxy and contact the service. And that's an end-to-end test. That's end-to-end. That's saying, hey, can this client who goes through my reverse proxy also then get to the service? End-to-end test, right? Then if you want, and you have them exposed, if you want to take the reverse proxy out of it, you could, and that port's exposed, you could just contact, that Docker service on that port, right? If it's on 8080, and 8080 is exposed, or Uptime Kuma can get to it on 8080, you can do it that way too, and that won't be an end-to-end test. And then I also, with Uptime Kuma, then I'm checking the node. Is the node alive? Or then I'm checking also DNS. So I check a lot of things in a lot of different ways. I'm to the point though where Uptime Kuma, I love it. I love it so much, but I've been struggling with it lately. I've been struggling big time. The SQLite database drives me crazy. That's running on there. And maybe I'm on the, I don't know, maybe I'm just expecting too much out of it. But, I monitor, 50, 60 things in there, which is a lot. Maybe not what it's supposed to be used for, but it kills me that SQLite database is in there, because I would love for them to move that out of there, even a MySQL database. And then I don't have to worry about this huge MySQL database that's in there. It gets corrupt. Now. What else has happened? Weird stuff. Corruption is the one that I hate the most, because it forces me to restore that volume. Like anytime that SQLite database gets corrupt, it's just such a pain in the butt. And I run MySQL, I run Postgres, I run MongoDB. Like I have all the databases that they could possibly support, and it only supports that SQLite one. And not that I want to scale this, but if they did remove that SQLite database from that container and say, hey, we'll also support, an external database, then I could scale that thing. Then I could say, okay, run 3 pods. I don't care where it go. So that when I reboot some of my servers, when I patch them, it doesn't just all go down. Anyways, so that being said, there is some good news though. I've noticed on Uptime Kuma's Git repo that they're actually working on a V2, and that V2 will support MySQL. So I cannot wait. I use Uptime Kuma to monitor 100 websites. It works great. It gets a bit weird after, but yeah, I know. It does get a bit weird. It's hard to describe. Like sometimes I go to Uptime Kuma, nothing's rendered. And I know why. It's because it's doing the MySQL queries. It's all on the main thread, and so it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna wait. It's basically like it's locked while it's querying everything to show me a result, to paint those results. And I know that's 100% SQLite doing that. Because it's not Vue or anything like that, like Vue.js. I think they use in there. I can't remember. It's Vue.js. I think it'll render things like lickety split. And so it's all those SQLite queries, and then your logs. Like I would just love to separate that out and just say, you know what, my data store is in I don't want to say a real database, but a real database, and it's not a concern of Uptime Kuma. That thing's just, its concern is, checking, rendering the screen, and possibly keeping some logs. So, but yeah, it's, I've had to restore it twice now. And now I'm at a weird point where like, I've added so many devices and I can trace my corruption back to, I don't know, like 45 days, 60 days ago. And now I'm like at this weird point when I restore, I'm going to lose all of the changes that I made, over the last 60 days. And, that I don't want to be in that situation. If it was my MySQL database, I'd have, SQLite dumps for, I might be in that situation again, but, it's so easy to restore MySQL with, and drop a database and recreate it. It just stinks. And so now I'm at this point where I can't add, like if I go to add another device, like it corrupts the whole thing again. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm in this state right now where I can't add or remove devices. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, if they had MySQL, that would be amazing. Yeah, check it out. I saw that they have a milestone. I don't know if they're calling it V2, but a milestone for a MySQL backend for Uptime Kuma. And I cannot wait. Like, I love it. I love it so much. And, it's tough of me to give it some critical feedback. But, it's not tough for me, but I feel bad because, it's an open source project. It's a small developer. Like, I love it. Everything about it is awesome, except for the in container database, or the in browser database, or the in process database of MySQL. Which it's not a fault of MySQL. I mean, it's great for what it does, but I think like once you get past a certain level or you have a certain workload, it would be great. And I get it too. Like, and now he has to rewrite this whole thing to support MySQL. That's tough. Hopefully he doesn't have to rewrite the whole thing. But anyways, I love it. I still use it to this day. I just cannot wait for V2 if it becomes a thing. I hope so. I should support him in that project on GitHub too, because I really love it. Anyways, I'm like going crazy. Plenum will post pics. Thanks, Bloodblight. Plenum will return and send all the heat straight to the. Oh, I like this. Okay, I need me some of that. Because I have a boiler, so that won't work for me maybe. But I like that idea. I would love to like recycle that heat. And I think about this all the time. I think about like even just like a refrigerator. If you think about like the layers of stuff, if it's cold outside, but then we heat our house, but then we cool off the stuff in the refrigerator. It's just like, I feel like sometimes there's got to be a better way to like take advantage of the heat outside, the cold outside, to then use it for inside. It's just weird. Anytime I think about that, like, or the opposite, it's hot outside, but then but then it's hot outside. I'm using AC to cool the house, but then I'm using my water heater to heat up water. It just seems like seems inefficient, or let's say suboptimal, I guess. I feel like there's some technology that can help solve some of this, because it just blows my mind. I'm like, yeah, anytime I think about that, I go down this rabbit hole of like, how could this be solved? So I don't want to go down there again. But that is awesome. I would love to recycle some of the heat. That would be great. That would be great for me, because it does get kind of warm in my basement. I mean, I have central air, but I don't have ports downstairs. It just falls naturally. And sometimes in the summer, it does get pretty warm down there. So, yeah. Let's see. Cyber Knight, heating my basement by venting the server room into basement with a cold air inlet. Oh, into a server room. Okay, so heating my basement. Yeah. I like that too. I'm kind of at that point now too. Like, ever since I had a server room in the basement, it's like, you know, when it's negative 20 outside, it's kind of like, you know, 60s in the basement. I'm like, yeah, it's not too bad. But yeah, it might be time to fire back up my one-use servers. We'll see. We'll see. They've been off for like 2 months now. I think month and a half, 2 months, and my Intel NUCs have just been crushing it. Just taking on everything that I need them to take on. I mean, outside of a few workloads, but those were never in on my one-use servers anyways. So it's pretty cool. But it might be time to fire up my one-use. I have a couple ideas for my one-use servers, but at the same time, I'm like, could I get by with a couple more mini PCs and just like, yeah, I've been exploring this idea too, like just creating a farm of mini PCs or a cluster, and like just commodity stuff. And instead of scaling up, I just scale out. It's like, oh, I need some more RAM. If I don't put more RAM, yeah, it's the Kubernetes way, right? Like in Kubernetes, like you have nodes, right? And you have a standard node size for the most part. And if you ever run out of RAM, or you ever run out of compute, you know, based on your resources and based on what you've allocated or reserved, you know, the way to fix that is just add another node, you know? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking at home. I'm like, okay, like if I'm running out of RAM, you know, I most of my systems, I have RAM maxed out for all my mini PCs for my Intel NUCs. They're maxed out anyways. But if I run out of disk space or RAM or compute, you know, for me, it's like, okay, I just get another NUC, put it on there, and Kubernetes balances it all out, you know? And then I get to a point again, like, oh, I'm out of CPU. Okay, well, I'll buy another NUC, put it in the cluster, and Kubernetes figures it all out. And I kind of want to keep doing that rather than build up, you know, a couple beefy things. You know, build up a handful of ones that aren't so beefy, because then that I mean, it you know, it's more expensive, obviously, but it's a lot more flexible for me, because then, like, if one day I'm like, oh, you know, I don't have those 5 workloads running. Well, just sell 2 NUCs, you know, take them out of the cluster, you know, and then let it rebalance itself, and figure it out. So I don't know. There's so many things to figure out, and so many cool things I wish I had more time for. I wish making content was faster too. I don't know. I'm doing a lot of reflection lately too. I wish I could turn content around a lot faster, because I have so many ideas of things I want to do. I just wish there was a way for me to do things faster, but I think everyone struggles with that. So, hey guys, man, I'm way over. It's 4:30. I'm just gonna look at some of these first-time chatters and make sure that I acknowledge them. I know a lot of you guys have chatted here before, maybe listened, but I also want to bring some attention to that. First-time chat, oh yeah, we just talked about that. Uptime Kuma, that's right. I responded to that. Night Ram. Anyone using Prometheus instead of Uptime Kuma, using Black Box Explorer? Yeah, so I have been using Prometheus. I probably should use it more. The reason why, so yes, I think the answer is yes. I'll speak for people because I know some people use it. Night Ram, how do I find this one here? Oh yeah, okay. Note to self, swap out my chat message. I think I found the perfect one to swap out how I do this. I'm hoping. Because I've been on a quest to first get chat down here on Twitch, and then I used a different one. But I think I found a really good one. Let's see here. I'm just gonna read out these last couple real quick. Anybody using Prometheus instead of Uptime Kuma, using Black Box Exporter? So I'm not using Black Box Exporter. I am using Prometheus. I do it for most of my stuff, like in cluster. I don't use Black Box Exporter. I know what it is. It sounds awesome. I'm not personally, but I'm sure a lot of people are. You should toss that one in our Kubernetes channel because I know you'll get a lot of people saying yes, they are, for sure. But yeah, it's so the reason why I still use Uptime Kuma for a lot of my stuff is one, it's really quick and easy just to add something. I know it's not infrastructure as code, but there's an easy form to add something. And two, I like that it has public status pages that are user-friendly. And so I do have my services that I run publicly, fun ones like, hey, is my Twitch bot up? Is the Discord bot up? Those types of things. Is my website up? My documentation website? You could find those. And I think it's status.technotim.live, and then you could find out if they're up. And so I have a publicly hosted status page of the stuff that I use. And so that's why I think it's nice. I mean, think of it like, it's like Uptime Robot, right? A lot of forms, a lot of good features that you can just fill out. But a lot of people are using Prometheus, for sure. Let's see. First time chat. I'm running a mini cluster for ASRock Desk Mini B660, and you love it. This was Tux. Let me just find this message down here. I do apologize because it's this weird thing I have to do. It's not normal. Twitch should add this feature. I've told them that so many times, and I get it. They got a lot going on. But man, this is so nice for any kind of just chatting type channel. And it's I think they should invest in just making it because there's a couple open source projects out there, and I think they just kind of lose interest, and then they just stop working or don't work exactly the way you want them to. So anyways, Tux 1024 says, I'm running a mini PC cluster for ASRock Desk Minis B660 and love it. Awesome. That is awesome. I don't know those systems, but I'm a huge NUC fan. I've been for a long time. I actually have an Intel NUC over here, my 4th gen. I'm giving that away too. I think I'm going to give it away on Twitter and just ask if there's anyone in the Twin Cities who could use it. Later on today. But anyways, I'm a huge fan. I've always loved mini PCs. Hey, 5 ETE has subscribed tier 1. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for the sub. Thank you. But yeah, I'm a huge fan. I've used them for a long time. I used them for a media center PC for a long time. And then I switched and started using them as servers and then desktops and giving them to friends and family when they get too old. And yeah, I love them. I'm a huge fan. I'll have to look into those too, because I would love to, while I like Intel NUCs, we all heard what happened in Intel NUCs. Supposedly ASUS is taking it over, or they're licensed to use the name. Not really sure what that means for the product itself, but I assume they're making their own line of stuff too. But still calling it a NUC, it's kind of weird. Anyways, yeah, I like mini PCs that are very capable, that run efficient too, for sure. Anyways, let's see. PC Geek, thank you so much for sharing the link. Thank you for your videos, Tim. Hey, 5ETE, thank you for your videos, Tim. They gave me the motivation and helped me set up my Proxmox. And Ansible. All right, I'm glad. More of that coming. Part of what I was talking about a little bit earlier. I'm working on an idea for a series that I think will go nice with what a lot of people are kind of doing. Oh yeah, dog's ready to go out. You hear that? Anyways, I appreciate the subscription. You know, it's never expected, but I really truly appreciate it. It helps me do fun things with fun stuff. So, yeah, and 100% of it always goes back into the channel. It's totally separate from my other consulting life. And so, yeah, all of it goes back into the channel 100%. So helps me do some fun stuff. Anyways, thank you all so much for joining in. I know it's Saturday. I've been bouncing back between Friday and Saturday. I think I'm going to continue to bounce back and forth just based on, my schedule and workload. Sometimes I have to do things on Fridays that conflict with me wanting to stream. And sometimes, Saturdays I like to have off. So I'm just going to keep it fluid. I'm just know this. I plan on Fridays unless something conflicts with it. And I know that's hard to keep straight in your head, but yeah, sign up for notifications or in Discord, click the streams button and you'll get a notification when I do. So I appreciate it. Hey, all, have a great Saturday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I didn't talk about weather, but man, this is my kind of weather. High of mid 50s, low of mid 40s. This is my weather right here, and so I'm so ready for it. This fall weather, I've been waiting. All of the 80-degree days, 100-degree days, I was just like, it's gonna be fall soon. Yeah, and I think people do the opposite. My wife's the opposite. Like, she's like, oh, it's so cold out. I'm like, you do know we're in Minnesota, and it's about to be negative 20 here in a little bit. And she's like, well, yeah, but it's chilly. Like, you know. Anyway, she's the opposite. When it's 50s and 60s, she's like, I can't wait for summer. I'm like, no, that is not fun. That is not fun. Anyways, I digress. Hey, all, thank you so much for coming out on this Saturday. Thank you so much. There was follows, subs, resubs, gifted subs. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, have a great Saturday. I'll be in Discord, kind of bouncing in and out. I'm redoing my whole entire office, but I'll try to stay signed in when I can while I have things connected. If you need me, ping me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should join our Discord. We got a Discord full of, I think we're up to 9,000 people who are just awesome. And I'm not just saying that, it's just awesome. People who like to help, people who have different life experiences, people who have different tech experiences, and it is awesome. I'm kind of partial, but I mean it. Like, somehow I ended up with the nicest, most helpful people in my Discord server. So I appreciate it. So anyways, have a great rest of the day. Have a happy Saturday and take care. Be good to each other. Take care, folks.